Welcome to the Thriving Farmer Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kilpatrick. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and celebrate sustainable farming. We believe that you can build a profitable, sustainable farm that gives you true farm freedom. Join us as we talk to farmers, innovators, educators, and entrepreneurs to glean their top takeaways in business and life.
Discover the rich, nutrient-dense flavor of Mall Ranch almonds, grown using regenerative farming practices in California's fertile almond country. Jimmy and Jennifer Simonian started their farm with zero experience, and through dedication and commitment to organic farming, they've created almonds that stand out for their taste and quality. By focusing on soil health and sustainable practices, they've transformed their farm into a thriving family-run operation. Now, you can get these premium almonds directly from the farm, ensuring your purchase goes straight to the hardworking farmers who grow your food. Visit shop.farmoncentral.com to buy fresh, organic bulk almonds today and support small-scale farming done right.
Hey, Thriving Farmers. Michael Kilpatrick here with another episode of the Thriving Farmer Podcast. Today's guest is Jimmy Simonian, almond farmer from Fowler, California. With no prior farming experience, Jimmy and his wife, Jennifer, have poured heart and soul into their land, earning organic certification after 3 years of dedication. Today, they produce almonds that are not only delicious, but also nutritionally rich, thanks to their focus on regenerative farming practices. Jimmy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Michael.
Absolutely. And, you were actually recording this and you've got beautiful sky behind you. We started today here at our farm was -7 degrees. So I had to go speak to some Amish this morning. It was,
That's
it
cold.
was,
That's too cold.
Yes, it's too cold to leave the farm. And I kind of joked to them. I don't think they quite got it, but I was like, hey guys, I actually had to try to start my car. You didn't have to start your horses. They just were already there. A few of them got the joke. But yes, no, we actually are speaking of winter growing, but, so talk to us, Jimmy, what are all the different crops that you, work with?
The crops that I work with, my dad and uncle had peaches, plums, nectarines, pomegranates, apricots, raisin grapes, wine grapes, and raisin grapes. That's what we did. That's how I grew up in that.
Okay.
I grew up doing
Fascinating. Okay, now pomegranates. Talked about. I've never known anyone that grows those. Give us a little bit of background on that crop.
Pomegranates is the greatest crop on earth because it's so healthy for people to eat, and we grow them here in California on the west side of the valley. They grow better in heavy soils. They grow really well with minimal water, not a lot of water. And I know that's a relative term, but half of what we use on these other crops, that's what a pomegranate uses. It's a great crop. We shipped a lot of them to Korea, lots and lots and lots of them to Korea. They loved them. But originally when my dad did it, Japan was the buyer for pomegranates. Lately, thanks to Wonderful and all their efforts, the first juice ever made, this wonderful juice that we all see in the stores, that was made in our parking lot. We did it.
Fascinating.
Yeah, we did it for them.
Fascinating. Yeah. And so with pomegranates, how many years before it went from planting to harvest?
Takes about 4 years. That's all. It grows fast, and it grows from a cutting. You don't need a rootstock. You don't need anything. Just get the cuttings, put them in the ground, make that nursery, pop them back out after they're calloused. They're ready to plant. They're easy to grow.
Fascinating.
They're very easy to grow. There's only 3 or 4. There's only 3 varieties. That's the good part about it. The good part about it is they haven't turned it into 50 varieties and ruined the pomegranate. It's an early wonderful, it's a regular wonderful, it's a foothill, and then there's another one they call Smith. There's only 4 varieties, not very many. That's what's good about it.
Fascinating. All right. Well, all right. Now you guys do mainly focus on almonds, but you also do a few, any other crops?
My consulting business, I work on cherries, blueberries. We've done some kiwi. We do table grapes, walnuts, almonds, and so forth. Citrus as well. Yes.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about that. Is that something that after you kind of worked with your dad, you just got into basically a crop advisor? Is that kind of what that is?
No, see, Dad knew something was wrong. And so we would be in a field of nectarines, and he would look up at that tree and he'd say, Jimmy, I used to get 10 boxes out of that tree. 10 packed boxes. And that was after calling and all
Yes.
that business. He'd still get 10 boxes. And he says, now I get 5 and 6. He says, what's happening here? My dad knew that things were changing.
Okay.
That the commercial agricultural practices were not returning what they had for him in the past.
And what was causing that?
Oh, we just put too much fertilizer, fungicides, chemicals. We just burned it up. We took out of the soil too much. Yeah. We
Gotcha.
harvested too much out of the soil, not understanding what we were even doing.
Gotcha.
We
All
took
right.
out too much, Michael.
Yeah. And
And
now
so
we're
what did I do? A young man wanting to please his father, I put more of that stuff. And we got, well, I did. I didn't know what you know today.
Yeah.
And I put more of that stuff and we didn't win at all. It just costed more money and ended up with a big bill at the chemical warehouse. That's all. They made the money. We didn't.
Okay. All right. So then what have you changed now? Kind of like what's your program now?
Well, my program in the almonds, I don't use fungicides. I don't use fungicides on the conventional stuff. We use products from Eden Solutions, and we try to strengthen the flower. We try to strengthen the flower with mineral nutrition rather than that way the bees come and they enjoy the flower. We're not into putting a fungicide because we did it at night so the bees are okay in the day. That's the mindset around here. It's not working. So that's one such thing that we do. I don't use fungicides. They don't work. They didn't. Even my dad said they didn't work, and he bought plenty of them.
All right. So then this is interesting. You talk about the flowers, strengthening the flowers. Talk a little bit about the bees in the valley. From what I understand, it's a very tough business because so many bees get lost throughout the year because of the chemicals.
They bring bees from all over the country to California, and they're going to start coming now. This is as we get to February, then all this begins. Truckloads and truckloads of bees will arrive, and the bees are out there, and the farmers will do their sprays at night, and then that bee within a few hours is back on that blossom in the day, and they just basically get poisoned out. And so then there's a bee mite, and there's all these things that these guys come up with that are killing the bees. But what's really killing the bees is the bees in a toxic situation all day long. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to draw the bees into to the orchard with mineral nutrition, with the Eden products, with good biology in the soil. I'm trying to say, okay, guys, come over here.
Yeah.
And a bee will travel a mile. So just because one farmer has bees over here, they'll end up I've seen it happen. I've had big populations of bees when the neighboring crops didn't have them, just because of the way we do things. The cover crops,
Gotcha.
all of that,
Yeah.
all of that is been so many things we've done, but one of the things, the cover crops, the mineral nutrition, just creating a space where they're happy. But a lot of bee death. A lot of those hives go back half empty. We lose a lot of bees, a lot.
Yeah. Well, and then you think about it as we eat the honey from those hives that I'm assuming is then all laced with all those fungicides.
Well, sure. Absolutely. The honey's in the honey set. So we got GMO corn over here. And, you could spray it with Roundup. And so they spray the corn with Roundup. They give the corn to the dairy cow. The dairy cow produces milk. My wife buys it at the store and I drink a little Roundup. That's what it is. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the almond season. So first, with almonds, how many years from planting to harvest?
3 years, you get a little crop. 4 years, you get something. And then 5, 6 to about 20 years. It seems like at that time, the orchard doesn't last. I don't know. That orchard should last a lot longer. It should go 40 years. It should go 50 years. But they don't seem to do that around here.
Gotcha. So I wonder if it comes back to the soil just being exhausted and the minerals being out of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And we just don't have the biology in these soils that we used to have. Our carbon numbers are real low. Real low. Active carbon, soluble carbon, very low. Very low.
All right. So you plant a almond orchard, and I'm assuming, do you use grafted trees or just regular trees?
No, it's a grafted tree. And we have the Nemagard rootstock, which has been here as long as I've been around, but there's new rootstocks that I think perform better. An almond tree requires a rootstock.
Okay.
They don't grow on their own. They just won't. You won't get a tree.
Yeah.
You just get kind of a bush or something, not a tree.
Yeah. And what's your spacing on almonds?
22-foot row by about 16 or 18. It depends on the variety and it depends on your soil. If you got sandy soil and you're not expecting to grow a big tree, you plant them a little closer together. If you think you're going to grow a big tree, lengthen them out.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, so you plant it, you're taking care of it. You mentioned the cover crops. Talk about how you implement cover crops on almonds.
I've planted cover crops now, and this year we planted it in December. We had some rain, and it hasn't rained since. So our cover crop is not doing so well right now. I have some sheep coming, though, which I'm really excited about. I have enough weeds out there in the organic field. I have enough weeds to support the sheep when they come, but I'm kind of wanting some rain so we can get that cover crop going because the sheep are going to love that diversity. The sheep are going to love that diversity. My natural weeds in conjunction with the 13 or 14 varieties that I have in the mix.
Gotcha.
So I'm really excited about that.
So what are some of the things that you put in that mix?
We got the clover, we got the brassica, we got everything. We got the rye, we got oats, it's a mix of stuff.
Okay.
And I can't even recite it to you because look, I'm not passionate about what's in that mix. I just want diversity.
Gotcha.
Give me diversity.
Okay.
I don't care. I want diversity.
So it's almost like everything you got, throw a little bit of that in it.
That's what I want. I want it all.
Okay. All right.
And because I'm not passionate about cover crops.
Yes.
I just know it's important.
Yes.
Now, there's some guys that can recite to you with the percentages of the mix. And I admire those people. That's not me.
Yeah. Okay. Talk a little bit about, you said you haven't had any rain. Has it been super dry in California?
We were clicking along just fine.
Okay.
And right now we've had 3 inches of rain and our average is 4. So we're behind an inch. We need rain. We need to finish up around 11 or 12 inches for a normal season.
Gotcha.
That's what we need to get.
Yeah. So you're still a little bit behind. Gotcha.
We're
Okay.
behind. No, it's too beautiful. I mean, this is beautiful weather.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about soil biology. I know the last time we spoke, you were talking kind of about all the different things you were doing. Let's talk a little bit about kind of like how you kind of try to increase that.
Okay, so I was buying a lot of bugs in the jug type things, and I was finding that it's the problem is when they make a beautiful compost tea 300 miles away. Now I got to ship water all the way over here. So what I'm doing now is we're brewing our own compost tea, highly fungal from Eden Solutions, and I'm just doing it in a 330-gallon tote. I have a circulating pump, and then I dump about a pound per 100 gallons. I put the compost in a tea bag. I drop it inside, and then we're adding in the Eden Harmonizer, Eden Base, and we're putting a 6-way blend in, which is a food source. And what we're doing is we're pretty much doing that 28 to 48 hours, and we're taking it to the field and putting it in. And we believe that having a fungal dominant soil in this area, all the soils are highly bacterial. The tests that I've done with Fort Lab have all come back consistently. We have a highly bacterial soil. That's great. I don't really understand what that means, but I'm told that fungal is more important. So we're going to put fungal dominant guys out there. We're going to put a food source out there, and I'll give you my latest mix.
Okay.
We're going to put out the fungal tea, which is very inexpensive to make. I'm at 25 cents a gallon.
Okay.
Not hurting me too bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to put on the Eden Solution Active Carbon. That's a brand new product, biochar based, mixed in with Eden saponins. And those saponins are just miracle number one. The saponins were in the vat turning, they were adding the char, and it just sucked up so much char into those saponins. It really loaded the bucket. Loaded the mix. I was excited about that because char is hard to work with.
Yes.
Biochar is hard to work with. It blows all over the place. It sticks to you. It's not an easy thing to work with. So I'm going to have the fungal tea, the Eden Active Carbon product, which I'm extremely excited about, the Harmonizer, which has been wonderful. We can talk about that more if you want to. And then a food source, which I'm going to use humates. I'm going to use Eden's humate powder. And so we're going to put that out on a trial tomorrow. And that's because I want to measure the soluble carbon before the application, do 2 or 3 applications as we get in the spring, then do another. I think it's going to be very, very solid. Here's the next miracle on the active carbon. Most products, when they're highly biological, they'll push the bucket off. In other words, by the time you receive it, the bucket's off and it's oozing out the side. No fun, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This product sucked in the bucket,
Huh.
which means it's grabbing from the atmosphere, it's taking from the atmosphere's carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen. I'm excited because I'm
Fascinating.
going to put that in the field and I want it to do those things to bring that air, bring those things into the soil profile. Those
Mm-hmm.
microbes are going to go crazy. That's going to go a direct shot right in the tree. And
Mm.
that's what I'm hoping will happen. Although I really want to see that soluble carbon on that apical test move up
Mm-hmm.
because I believe that's the biggest problem in the valley is we don't have carbon in the soil. Michael, you know this. Carbon holds 4 times its weight in water. 4 times. This valley, we have Sigma now. We got water regulations. I can take this product to farmers and say, hey guys, use this product, become a carbon farmer,
Mm-hmm.
hold your water. Hold your water because this government here in California is not going to give you extra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hold your water.
So, okay, so this is a new regulation. What's the new regulation that's going on?
Oh, it's called Sigma. They passed it right before Christmas one year when no one was looking.
Yeah.
It slipped through the door, not much debate. And pretty much what that said is in California, if you're a farmer in California and you do not have surface water as well as pump water, you're going to have a bad day. In
Uh,
other words, the canals in our district here recharge the groundwater. And if you don't have that and you're just pumping from the groundwater and you're not recharging or proving somehow you're recharging, that land's
mm,
basically going to become unfarmable.
mm.
Right now, it's already starting to stick. Ground with water, that scenario, that's 28,000 the acre. Ground without, you're looking at 16 to 20.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this government created.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so let's talk about the government. Can I make an argument that the groundwater was not going down? Well, no. Can I make an argument that after we had those 2-3 years of drought that the water went up? Well, no. I mean, we're using a lot of water.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Now, is it true that there's water up north they could be bringing down that's going out to the sea instead?
well, okay. The answer is yes. You
Okay.
know, my cousins were in Oregon. They worked at the mill. Every one of them worked in the mill. Everybody worked in the mill. You graduated from high school, you went to the mill. Well, President Clinton came up with the spotted owl. I don't know if you remember that. Now my cousins live in Fresno and they drive trucks.
Okay.
So that happened, right?
Yes.
So we ended up with the Delta smelt, and the Delta smelt a little bitty fish, and they used that to divert water into the delta and out into the bay, and basically to flush the delta because they're putting stuff in there. They're polluting the
Uh-huh.
delta, so
Uh-huh.
they needed to flush it out. So they used the delta smelt to divert water through there. So the answer is absolutely yes. We have canals, we have systems here, and we can receive water from the north. That was the idea,
Uh-huh.
but that was all become very, very limited now and
Gotcha.
highly political. Weston's Water District, an hour west of me on the west side of the valley, is the largest water district in California. They are highly political. I mean, my gosh, they're more of a political arm than they are a water delivery system.
Gotcha. So
So,
because water is now so valuable, it's become very political.
and the Delta smelt created that, just like it created a situation with my cousins and the spotted owl in the mill.
Hmm.
Same thing. All of
Yeah.
these things have a long-term effect. And
Yeah.
so when President Trump gets on TV and he says all that, most of it's true.
Interesting. Okay. So then what does that mean for the entire valley? I'm assuming that the valley that farming is just not going to be as profitable because you don't have as much water. So obviously there's less food being produced. Is that food now coming from Mexico, other countries, Arizona?
The political folks believe that you can export this food, bring it in from Mexico, bring it in from Chile,
Uh-huh.
bring it from Peru, bring it from you can get Chinese canned peaches.
Yeah.
You can get walnuts from China. You can get in other words, there's really not much. The political people, a certain amount of them believe you can just bring it in.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's obviously a lot of things there. We don't know the nutritional content. We don't know how it was grown. There's so many different aspects of when you cross borders.
Oh, I know it. And you know what I'm excited about here is this JFK, and I don't know JFK. I don't know nothing, but the things that they say about the our food here in America is really really true.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen is if these tariffs come in and we can limit that Chinese fertilizer and those Chinese chemical, all that stuff that comes from India, and then we source that stuff all over the world. If we can limit that and begin farming more, just because farmers don't have access to it, they'll make the switch. They'll farm like me right now. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, they'll farm like me because they all know it's true.
Uh-huh.
They all know that this stuff is not good, and it hurts, and it's hurting them. It's hurting all of us. So yes, we're going to have less food grown in the valley because of water regulation. We're going to have less food grown in the valley because of the availability of water.
Yeah.
We're gonna have less, and we have less food in the valley just because the system is broken and it's not. Guys aren't getting good production.
Uh-huh.
The production isn't there. Yeah, here and there a guy will get a win, but most overall, guys aren't getting the pounds per acre that we used to. That's the truth, Michael.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
The yields are just significantly down.
They're just not the same.
Yeah.
No. We
Now,
have had the lightest walnut crop in the history of the deal. Last year's crop was the lightest walnut crop. In
wow.
fact, they don't, we went and it just, I don't know, they call it what you want to call it, but it wasn't a crop. It was not a crop.
Yeah. Now, obviously, another subject that's really contentious is the labor out there too. Is immigration. What percentage of the farm workers are H-2A or legal, or what's is just coming across?
We don't need H2A. They've let so many people come across. It's no problem. There's no H2A. You don't need it. There's lots of people right now. Lots and lots and lots.
Really
Here's the
interesting.
problem. Here's the problem with those. We need them and it's important, but it's expensive. I mean, it's $23 an hour with the commission and all the things that we pay. Oh my gosh, it's expensive.
So
But
okay. So you've got labor; they're there, but you have to pay a set wage.
no, just the minimum wage in California. What is it,
Oh.
1650? And 1650, then you put 35% on that for taxes and all the stuff you got to pay the government. It's an expensive deal.
Yes.
Very
Gotcha.
expensive.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But they have to get 1650 to pay their bills in this state. Gas is $4.
Yeah, I think I actually didn't look when I went by today. I didn't look at the gas
And
prices.
and now with the new president, they're all very concerned. They're very concerned about being picked up. They're very concerned about being taken back. And now they live in fear. And so they lived in a bad situation where they came from, and now they're here, and they feel like they're in a bad. So those people didn't get a win.
No.
They didn't get a win.
No. That's
No,
unfortunate.
they didn't get a win. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's contentious. When you say contentious, all sides. All
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah. 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 And I see arguments on both sides. So it's not like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's a tough one.
For sure there's arguments on both sides. But
Yeah.
those people are living concerned now that they're going to get picked up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm assuming that just creates a tremendous issue for you as a boss trying to get people that show up every single day. You never know when that ice truck is going to roll up and your crew just disappears over the edge of the field.
And that stuff is going to be happening now. And it's going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
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 He says they say they're going to just go after the criminals. But look, you're going to go after it, and it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive back into this here. You talked about just how the yields are going down. And we've talked about some of the stuff that you're doing to the almonds and to the different crops. Water is obviously, the quality of water is always an issue. Talk a little bit about kind of like what your water's like, and are you treating your water in any way to get it, better or cleaner?
It's a long answer. You don't mind if I.
Go for it. Just take it away.
Okay. All right. So we started, years and years ago, there was a carpet bag. There was a guy running around selling magnets.
Okay.
And they would put magnets around the discharge. And but the problem with the magnets was once the water went into the field, the water reversed back to its original form. And the magnets looked kind of cool on the pump.
Okay.
Okay. Then it went to there was a company from Sweden recently, and I'm getting this out of order. But the
Yes.
company from Sweden came and they had a device, and they put it there on the discharge, and they ran the water through tubes, and they simulated, they created a frequency and a vibration through these tubes, and they were getting some remarkable results. The problem was they wanted 100,000 a pump. And when there was money available and from the government, and they felt like they could get the government, sign up with the government, get
Yeah.
the funding, cover the cost of the equipment. They were having good results. It was unaffordable. I went to a ring, Personova ring. So I have a ring on one of the pumps, and what it's supposed to do is create a vibration, create a frequency, and allow the salts. And that's probably something we should talk about today. Allow the salts to free themselves from around the roots and go down. In other words,
Interesting.
yeah. And I did that. And my sap, I had that on the almond trees. I took a sap test every month, plant sap analysis, and I saw the roots went down looking for water, right? Because you slow the water down right before harvest, and I think the roots dove in, or what have you. And we brought up at the end, the last test, this plant showed a lot of sodium in the sap, which was disappointing. But maybe as we keep using it, it'll push it down and down and down. That ring is $8,000. It's still an expensive deal, but I such an issue here that I had to do it because I have to find, we have to find a solution
Interesting.
to
Yeah.
sodium in the plant sap, because that once the sodium gets in the plant sap, it starts creates it's a nemesis inside the tree, in the plant, any plant. I don't care if it's your rose bush out here. It's a
Wow.
nemesis. So back to the silver ring is very interesting. I think we're gonna see something very positive. I also, before I switch to the last thing I learned today, I also run a little harmonizer in as I'm irrigating. So as I'm irrigating, I've got my fertilizer pump running, and I'm putting in a low
Yeah.
rate of Eden harmonizer. And the idea is I'm just treating the water. I'm trying to add something to the water that I know helps with plant salts. I don't know. I can't bang the drum too loud on that because I don't put enough in that tank probably to make a difference. But over the season, maybe I am.
Yeah.
Harmonizer is a product that was introduced by Eden
Yeah.
Solutions.
Yeah. So what is the harmonizer for our listeners? Why don't you share a little bit about what's that supposed to do?
Harmonizer is a product that was introduced by Eden Solutions, and the reason that I like it is because we believe I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it is, because I don't know. But what it does, it's a water treatment. So as when we get a sap test and we start looking at what we need to do with the crop, we were making mixes that were $50-$60 an acre. In the soil, 50-60 maybe 30-40 up on top. But we were doing both. It was too expensive. What harmonizers allowed us to do is
Yeah.
use half the rates now, and we're really competitive as far as cost per acre now because of the harmonizer. It's a water treatment. And so that has allowed me to compete with the local competition around here, because I can get the cost down for them.
Yeah. Okay. So then what you're saying with the harmonizers, it kind of, I mean, obviously it's a multiplier almost, but is it just allowing, I don't know, making the nutrients more slippery so they slide inside the cells? I don't know.
You know what I think it is I think what that harmonizer does is because okay, we used harmonizer in February last year on a young vineyard. I took a test, a soil test, and I looked at the active carbon, and then we put out the harmonizer 2 or 3 applications, and we noticed a significant increase
Yeah.
in soluble carbon. So what I think it pulls from the atmosphere as well. And so when we put it in those, I think it does that. But it's a James at Eden hasn't shared with me what exactly is in it, but I see the results of it very, very positive. I like the harmonizer product.
Yeah.
It's a solid product.
Yeah. Okay. So then back to the water here, the salts. Where are the salts coming from? Are they coming from?
The pump,
Okay.
and the fertilizers. If you're a UN32 user, that's these fertilizers are salty. Yeah, it comes from the fertilizers. It comes from the from the pump. And a lot of these guys use compost. You know, the government's giving money for compost. There's
Okay.
compost being put out. That stuff's salty. It's all salty. And it has Roundup in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It has
Gotcha.
Roundup in
Okay.
it.
Gotcha. So we're getting this
It has
toxic.
Roundup in it. Yeah.
Yeah. This toxic, um, a toxic, just like mix, basically.
Residue, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cocktail.
Even the green waste compost. The gardener sprays Roundup in the guy's yard. You know, the trees there, they take the leaves, they take the lawn.
Mm-hmm.
It's not clean. Nothing's
Yeah.
clean. The
Yeah.
spearmint, the dairy manure, same thing. It's not clean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we don't use much we don't use much manure anymore. My dad used to buy cow manure like crazy. We don't use
Mm-hmm.
compost. So basically what we're doing is we're using minerals and we're feeding the biology. We're adding biology, but we're putting a food source there, and we're trying to create an environment where the biology is very, very strong and really working with the soil and in conjunction with the tree to get uptake. Who's most invested in the soil? It's the plant that's in the soil. He or she's most invested. So we have to do what we can to work
Mm-hmm.
with that relationship. Now,
Yeah.
there's a farmer, Michael, just down the street with pistachios, and he decided to do nothing. In other words, here's his deal. He has cover crop. He runs the sheep through 3 times a year. He sprays no fungicide. He sprays no insecticide. He puts on no fertilizer. It's just sheep, cover crop, water, and that's it. And he's
Mm-hmm.
actually turning that field around and having some wonderful success. So my dad had a saying, Michael. My dad had a saying. He said, sometimes, Jimmy, less is more.
Mm-hmm.
And in
Mm-hmm.
that case, less is more.
Yeah.
Now, our soil is more sandy. It doesn't hold nutrition, and it's been abused longer. And his is heavier. So he made the
Mm-hmm.
turnaround a little quicker. He's able to hold water better than me. He's able to do things that I can't do here or in my area. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm excited about the active carbon. Build the carbon. We know the harmonizer helps build the carbon. We got this active carbon product, food source, and the fungal tea. I think it's a winning combination. We're going to test it. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Okay. So back to this pistachio guy. Is he just selling his pistachios on the general market?
Well, that's the problem. He goes through all this work, and he's basically putting his pistachio in with the next guy.
Interesting. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how we got hooked up through Eden, so James at Eden Solutions, because talk to us about kind of the state of the California almond industry, especially the organic industry, and what was promised and now it actually is happening.
Well, the disappointing thing was the belief was that if conventional almonds were $2.50 a pound, you could consistently sell organic almonds for $5. Whatever the conventional price was, you doubled it, and that was your organic price.
Yeah.
Today, my organic price is the same, if not a few cents less than conventional almonds. Now, that I think what happened was a lot of guys got in, started growing organic almonds, and they cheat. You could cheat. If you have a conventional piece, if you're going to fertilize, you just tell them you put all the fertilizer over there, and there was cheating going on. So now we got a whole bunch of organic almonds
That aren't really organic.
We got a whole bunch of organic almonds that are not quite so organic.
Well, and
it's
that's
easy to cheat. If you want to cheat,
yeah.
Michael, it's easy to cheat. CCOF wants to pass. Hey, they're in the business to certify you. They want you to be certified. So,
Because then you can give them money. If you can't certify, you can't give them money.
correct. And I don't know if you realize that they're a big organization. They want to be big. They're not just interested in being a certifier. They want to be the leader of the world. So.
Okay. All right. So the price is much lower. And so when you guys shake the trees, get the almonds off, right?
Yes.
Okay. So after you shake the tree, I'm assuming you hire a service that comes in and does that for you.
I don't have my own harvesting equipment. So yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a guy comes in to harvest it. It costs about $350, $400 an acre to do that. By
Okay.
the time they shake it and then they sweep it to the center of the row, then they got a picker up machine, and you got to truck it to a huller. It costs plenty.
So what happens to the hulls?
They get fed to cattle.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Because, it's true that California is in the top 5 dairy states too.
Mm-hmm. They get fed to cattle.
Yeah.
So when the milk price goes down, the hulls pile up. then everything kind of it's a commodity. The hulls
Gotcha.
are a commodity.
Gotcha. Okay. So then after they get dehulled, what happens to the almond?
The organic almond, when it gets dehulled, it goes into the freezer for 30 days. And that's
Okay.
supposed to be there. That's supposed to get the bugs, kill the bugs. That's the kill step. And
Okay.
then they go through steam pasteurization. They're no longer raw. Now, next year, I want to have raw almonds. So I found a guy, I want to have raw almonds, Michael. That's what we're going to have.
Okay.
And we're going to have organic almonds or raw almonds, or maybe we'll just have raw almonds and
Mhm.
forget all that, or that steam pasteurization. I don't know what you get out of that. I
Well,
don't make
so
any sense to me.
the steam pasteurization, isn't that something that California makes you do, or is it still, can you opt out?
Yeah, you could opt out, but I just have to go to almost have to do, go to a very local and private
Okay.
processor.
Okay. All right.
But
I'm
we need
getting,
to think about that in the future
yeah.
because people like raw almonds. We have raw milk here in Fowler. They just
Hmm.
got shut down for 6 weeks. Their business is booming. They
Yes.
were growing 1%. Before they got the bird flu deal, they were growing like it was like 1% growth per week or something. People
Wow.
love raw
Hmm.
milk. It's a
Yes.
good product. It's good
Mhm.
for you. We can sell raw almonds. People want that.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So back to, there's raw milk people. I think I saw that story in the news. It was because the milk tested positive for bird flu.
Yeah, and that bird flu strain was not dangerous to humans. And so it got political.
Yeah.
And they came in
Again.
and and they're in my town. I know those people and I know them very well. And so I watched them go through this thing and it wasn't fair.
Mm.
But they basically got it cleared out somehow, some way, and they knew they would. And I think their sales are going to go. They said every time there's an issue, sales go up. People hear
Yeah.
about the raw milk, they study the raw milk, they want to
Uh-huh.
understand what happened, and then what happens is they decide they're going to try it. That's where I'm
Mhm.
at. I'm going to
Yeah.
go get some.
Well, I mean, that's all we have it around the house. And I won't drink regular milk. It tastes like chalk.
Well, that's
Um,
what I drink Roundup milk here every night. Tastes like chalk, and I seem to think it's okay. It don't taste good. You got to put chocolate sauce in there.
yes. Yes. No, so it's interesting. Like, the raw milk people that deliver here, like the first year we were open, we like said, hey, yeah, we heard about them. We're like, yeah, we'd like to be a drop off point for you guys. And they wouldn't just let us sign up. They said, well, we want to come visit you.
Yes,
They visited us. They stood there and they talked to us for like a couple hours. They wanted to
yes.
know that we were like good people that they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do business with.
You guys, because they're suspicious. The government's
Oh, well,
pretty rough on that deal, man.
don't get me started on the government.
Yeah, so we need to do raw. We need to do raw almonds. Now I'll tell you another thing about the raw milk people in
Yeah.
my town over here. They were selling raw almonds first. They just couldn't make enough.
Oh.
They just couldn't make any money doing it. So they came up with the idea. Look, we're gonna get some cows and we're gonna
Mhm.
sell raw milk. That was what happened.
Gotcha. So are there cows all on pasture?
No, no, and
Okay.
that's the thing. So I went out there and I says, guys, we need to do the sap test. We need to
Yeah.
put the minerals out here. You got to grow better feed because
Yeah.
the better and what they're not doing. I'm telling the world here. What I had, they're not. If they had better food, they
Yeah.
wouldn't have those outbreaks. If they had
Gotcha.
better food.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at a well-fed animal, and well-fed animals and people don't get sick. It's when you stress them out,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's when I get sick, when I'm stressed.
Yep. And I looked at their animals. Hey, Michael, their animals were nice looking animals. But I
Yeah.
looked at the feed and I says, boy, that could be improved. So they're
Yeah.
gonna give me a plot out there. I'm gonna start working on their hay. I'm gonna start doing it. I'm
Nice.
excited about it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so these we're gonna do raw almonds. Talk a little bit though about kind of like because we sell your almonds in our online store, and we're trying to get more larger people involved with this. Talk about when we first started working together, we were like, let's produce a premium almond, and your almonds are really good. I mean, our people that come into the store consistently say, and we're selling more and more of them in the store. They're like, man, these are actually really good almonds. They're
Yes.
sweet. They are just plump. There's something you want to snack on.
Yes. Yes. They're good almonds.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about kind of like, the sap test and how that allows us to make a better almond.
Oh, that's a great question. So the SAP test, the thing about the SAP test is we were always trained in to look for deficiencies. And so you get the UC manual out and they'll take a picture of a leaf and then you try to compare your leaf to that leaf and then figure out what deficiency you have. But what Eden does is that it looks at excesses. Excesses are first. Something that's in excess, like sodium, can cause so many problems across the nutritional, the ability of the plant to function correctly. If you just could eliminate, don't deal with anything else, just work on less salts, you'll see a positive response in the plant. Another one is potassium. Man, guys use a lot of potassium around here. Chemical warehouse is good at selling potassium, but excess potassium is a salt, causes problems in the plant. Chlorides, chlorides are a tough one. They bounce around. They're hard to work with. So all those chlorides is another one. The biggest one is aluminum. Aluminum, you got to, as the summer months, now I'm going to tell you about the SAP test, will tell you every year. As you start off low in the spring, and as you go through the summer, that aluminum and the salt and the chlorides, they just go up, up, up as you get to the end of the harvest. And I guess that has to do with, there's a lot of junk in the soil. The plants go after it because they start stressing. I believe there's stuff in our air that we never used to have that the trees will pick up. But you go after the excesses first when you look at a SAP test. Once you identify those excesses and you start dealing with them, then you can pick up your deficiencies. But sometimes if you fix the excess, the deficiencies take care of themselves. In other words, the plant's able to balance itself out the way it was designed to do. But it's the excesses that hurt the yield. It's the excesses that hurt the quality of the fruit. It's the excesses that make that almond not taste as good. And it's like I said, I just mentioned to you, Na sodium, high potassium, high chloride, high aluminum, sometimes magnesium. Those are tough ones to deal with when they're in excess.
Yeah.
And that does affect the quality of the plant. And also, an insect does not see a healthy plant. It only sees stressed ones. And I still have insect issues in my almond trees, which tells me I have more work to do. And so therefore, I've tried all these things. I'm real excited about this carbon, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you also, I believe it was you that talked to me about this chlorophyll product.
That's an interesting product. It's a living cell algae. There's algae in a lot of products, I'm learning. A lot of these products, these new products that are coming around, they have algae in them as a food source for biology. But that algae is not alive. It's past. It's deceased, but it's still a food source. What we have, well, I don't have it, but what I have working with these people, it's a living cell algae product. My friend there at Eden Solutions said, that's an interesting product. And so that there, I believe, Michael, that's a good one. That could be a very good one.
Interesting. Yeah. So what's the mode of action on that? How's that supposed to work?
You put it in the soil. You can also spray it on the tree. They can do both. But I think it's better in the soil. Stimulates the microbes. It's a food source.
Okay. It's just another way to wake those up.
The biome, whatever, those fancy words, microbiology.
Yes.
It's feeding your team. When you're sleeping, they're working. They're working on your behalf. So I have to put a little bit of that out this year as well. I'm excited about that product. I think you should use that product possibly in your systems. I don't know.
Well, I got some. Yeah, I got some. We started using it. Does the green color settle out if you don't keep it shook up?
Nah, not in my analysis. It stayed in solution pretty well.
Okay.
You shake it a little bit, but
just shake it a little bit.
Yeah, I had it in the garage. I didn't notice that it did that. No.
Okay. All right.
How long does it last? I think it'll hang around in that bottle quite a long time. They've got them stabilized, which is interesting.
Yes. Yeah. And obviously we probably could keep it in the fridge and that would probably help better too. We do have we have our seed fridge, and the bottom of our seed fridge, we have where the two bins are. We put some of the more sensitive, biologicals because they
That's
are
a good place for it.
Yeah. Try to keep that temperature stable and down to keep them going well. Because
I like that product. I think there's something there. There's something there. And James says it'll work very well with our harmonizer product. So we're going to try. James is the owner of Eden Solutions. He says, we'll put a little harmonizer with that living algae. He says we might have that. There's a lot we could do some good there.
Yes. Yeah.
Now there's two. Now there's another school of thought here.
Okay.
Glenn Ravensburg in South Dakota. He proposes. He has a calcium product, not organic, but it's very good calcium product. It derives from gypsum through a process, and then he promotes, putting sugar on the crop and putting molasses, and then a longer term carbon source like Leonardite. Let's just throw Leonardite out there.
Yeah.
And so you're giving the microbes a quick spin, and then the molasses, and then a longer term piece. That works. His system works. The reason that I'm doing this is because Eden Solutions says that the farmers we don't have time here. That's a longer term piece. These guys don't have time. Almonds are cheap, crops are cheap, expenses are way up. We want to provide for them something they put out and they see something quickly. That's what I want to do. We don't have time here. There's no time.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's break that down a little bit. Sugar and molasses. Now both of they're different. They're
different.
Yeah, they have different modes of action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He describes it as a buffet. You go up and you go through your stages.
Yeah. I like pizza and I like ice cream.
Yeah, and it's a carbon source. It's all carbon, right?
Yeah.
Providing a carbon source.
Yeah.
He's using the calcium to soften the soil because a lot of this soil is very hard. If you get a penetrometer around here, you're going about that far until you get to 150 pounds pressure.
Really?
It's tight. It's hard. It's overfarmed. It's everything. It's been abused.
Yeah.
So we need to put these. So his idea is add in the calcium and then these carbon sources.
Yes.
To stimulate and pull from the air carbon, the oxygen, and the nitrogen. Pull it, draw it in. But if you only have this much topsoil that can accept that, you're very limited.
Yeah.
Very limited.
Yeah. All right. So what's his carbon product called?
Active carbon.
Active carbon. Okay.
I have 10 gallons. I got the first 10 gallons today. The thing about that is it's under 30. It's $30. There's not too many Eden products that are at $30.
No.
So no. So now I just made a mix for my trial. 7-acre trial, young baby mandarin trees just planted. It's behind my son's house. He works for somebody. He says, Dad, we did a lot of scraping there. He says, I know that those trees aren't going to perform as well. We scraped too much here. We took too much away. I says, okay, let's put it there. We calculated it. We're at like $10 an application.
Wow. Yeah.
So now I go to the farmer and I say, look, I got a system here. We got something. It's going to cost you $10 an acre. Well, nobody gets ruffled up. $10? I says, $10. Do it twice a month, once a month, whatever your budget will think, but just be consistent. And then let's take the test.
Yes.
Let's take the test.
Yeah. Okay. So wait a minute. It said, what's the guy's name that you're up there?
Up north?
Yes.
Glenn Ravensburg, Soil Works. Great guy, good friend. I don't work with him. I don't sell his stuff, but he teaches the importance of carbon, and he teaches the importance of calcium to loosen the soil, and he teaches that, he teaches a system that's simple. It's simple. It's just, and I've seen it work. I'm not telling you it doesn't work. I'm just saying that at Eden, we want to do it quicker.
Gotcha.
We're trying to do it quicker.
Gotcha. All right. Now I know why I've heard of him because I believe he's been on Acres USA a few times.
Yeah, and he's a great speaker.
Yeah.
And he's a lot of fun to listen to, and he has jokes and stuff.
Okay. That always helps.
You gotta have jokes. See, I'm practicing. One of these days, I'm going to be speaking, telling this story, and I'm practicing on you, Michael. And I'm grateful for you letting me do this because I get to practice.
That's awesome. You actually, last time we checked, you'd gone north to speak at a conference or something, a panel.
Yeah, I went to, the government's put out a lot of, through the Healthy Soils program, the government has offered, quite a bit of money, and they've got 100 growers signed up to do these practices to restore the soil, to build the soil, to change the soil, and they're using the term regenerative. Now, here's the joke. Lovely young girl in charge of the United Fresh Fruit. They were the ones that received the grant, and then they have folks that are helping to identify growers and distribute the money and manage the money. And so you've got this little system going, which is nice. I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
But they're trying to define what regenerative agriculture is, and I'm gonna be a little bit controversial here. I don't think that you can. I don't think there's a definition for regenerative agriculture. What I think to tell you is, or what I believe in my heart, is there's regenerative practices. But there's not a definition. There's practices. Okay, what's a practice? Running the sheep through. What's a practice? Oh, I don't know. If you're going to spray a herbicide, add some wood vinegar with it. Instead of going the full rate of the herbicide, add in the wood vinegar. It makes it work better. That's a carbon source. It's a regenerative practice. What's another regenerative practice? It's practices. It's doing something different than the chemical guy who comes over here and tries to sell you. No, I'm not going to do that. I may do a version of that, but I'm not doing that because that didn't work. That's not helping.
Yeah.
Or you take, there's people that have products that allow you to use less commercial fertilizer. That's a regenerative practice. Those are the things that I'm talking about. Regenerative practices, doing something different, thinking differently about what the hell you're doing. Instead of spraying the whole row with a herbicide so it looks clean when you go by with the pickup, hey, let the grass grow. Plant a little seed in there. Try something different. Let's do something different. Put a hedgerow up. A hedgerow is a practice. They're all practices. You can't define that, what I just told you. Or to say regenerative agriculture is a set of practices, and it's a farmer choosing to do something different than he normally would have done.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but to me, the definition of regenerative is that in the end, the ecosystem is better than when you started.
Agreed.
So that's what I would say would be regenerative. Now, granted, you need those practices. You need all those practices that you just said.
Yeah.
Mulching, bringing the sheep through. I mean, animals, I think, are huge. I'm interested. Other than the cows, is there a lot of animals out in the valley?
That was the thing I was wanting to talk to you about.
Okay.
There was none. In other words, a few years ago, there was no. We got dairies, but there's no animals. And so now I know of 4 herds.
Okay.
I know one in Lodi. A friend of mine runs a herd. I have a herd here locally that's coming. He just bought them. He bought 60. They're starting to have babies. He's coming my way. To my field. In addition to that, there's a herd in Sanger. Wine grape growers got a herd. There's another herd locally here in Fowler. I know of 4 herds. That never was ever the case, ever.
Interesting.
Never.
That's really interesting.
Never.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So that's a very unusual, very, very good thing that's going on. We've got animals now in the fields, not on a large scale, but definitely more than 10 years ago.
Yeah. Now, okay. So how does the FSMA like that? I'm sure you have to.
Oh, they love that. Yeah, they love that. Yeah, they love that. But they don't understand. What that all does. In other words, that's not in their purview, right?
Yes.
So what I'm telling a farmer is, look, we got Sigma. Carbon holds 4 times its weight in water. Let's start there. Let's start there. Now you got a story to tell, right?
Yeah.
We're going to tell a story.
Yeah.
But as far as the animals, everyone likes the idea, but we don't know much. We don't know much right now.
So you're figuring it out. Now with the sheep, are they, obviously wool is something that's not very profitable. Are these more?
No. They're choosing the variety that does not have wool, that does not require the shave.
Gotcha.
There's a variety that they're using that doesn't require the
hair
shape.
shape. That's why the hair shape ones. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
And are they solely using them probably they're just literally for cleaning up, or are they actually going to be process them for meat?
I think these guys are going to be cleaning up.
Okay, so
And
that
then
is
what I
literally,
understand
yeah.
from the guy that's going to do mine is that he'll sell the offspring,
Gotcha.
and that's
Okay.
how he's going to remain, be profitable.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well, share a little bit more about kind of like the kind of long-term goals. Are you just going to keep growing almonds? Are you growing some other crops as well?
My long-term goals is I want to grow the business as far as seeing growers and having these customers, and I want to be a part. I want to be a part of changing the way agriculture is done here in this valley. That's what I want. That's what I want to be a part of. And I certainly want to grow more as far as farming. You can only do so many things. So farming gives me my passion is farming. I identify myself as a farmer. I that's all I ever wanted to do my entire life. It's what I love to do. But I like the idea of visiting growers and telling them this stuff because I'm part of the story.
Yeah, you're an evangelist, part of
I'm
the
the
evangelist.
evangelist, and there's not a lot of guys that'll step out and do it. Now, what the farming does for me is I tell them, look, I did it on my ranch. This is what happened. It gives me this. It allows me to tell the story better. It allows me to tell the story better. Whereas if I'm just a warehouse guy and I got out of college, and those guys that get out of college, they just want to be in ag, right? And so they go to work for a company and they're selling products, but they're not invested. I'm invested. That's what makes me different. And that's what gets me in the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hope that answers your question. I'd love to grow strawberries and get the plants from you and do all that. But then again, that would take me away from, doing these meetings and doing this work, which it's good work.
Yes. No, absolutely. Well, and strawberries are a very different crop in California. I mean, you guys are, well, I think you're kings of the strawberries out there.
Yeah, we are, but our strawberries don't taste very good.
No,
my wife loves strawberries. They don't taste good.
I can beat their strawberries any day of the week.
Any day of the week, any day, you could beat their strawberries. Their strawberries are no good.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
yeah, it's interesting now that I feel like every year I get further and further down the strawberry rabbit hole. I'm talking to, the people, the producers in Canada and California. So, it's learning so much about the industry and just how everything works. And it's a fascinating and also a bit scary of just kind of how things are. So.
It is fascinating and scary all at the same time. Absolutely. It is. Yeah. And I'm a little, what I would love to grow is organic stone fruit. If you asked me what I want to grow, I can answer the question. I want to grow organic stone fruit.
Yeah. We interviewed a farmer out there about that. They do organic stone fruit.
Who was it?
He was literally just on the podcast within the last year. I'll Google it. Well, I'll Google my website, and find it for you. My search function wasn't working so well. So, stone, let me type in stone to see if it actually comes up.
I believe, and I love to grow fruit. That's what I love to do. And I would grow organic stone fruit and I would do it with the Eden system, and I would produce obviously a more nutritious, more better tasting, and and fruit that has a longer shelf life. My gosh,
Yeah. It's Blossom Bluff Orchards. They're at the farmers markets down in the city a lot.
I'll be darned. Well, they're just what they are is a small. In other words, they're hauling it in their own truck and they're doing it themselves, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
A lot of work, by the way. A lot of work. Oh, gosh.
They do kiwi fruit, pomegranates, plums, hybrids, persimmons, all apricots, peaches, and nectarines. So,
would they happen to be, I believe that they're based out of Reedley, now that I'm thinking about it.
They may
and I might
be.
even know them. Yes.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the fields are beautiful. I mean, it's all cover cropped. Yeah. But all right. Well, that kind of wraps it up a little bit. Jimmy, thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it. Anything else you want to share before we go?
Well, I'm just so grateful for the chance to tell my story. I'm just very grateful. And I'm grateful that people are enjoying the almonds that we're growing. And I'm believing with the raw option and working with a smaller processor, I'll be able to control the quality even better. And I'm of course, when I started doing this, the large processor that I normally work with, they didn't think this could be done. They didn't want this to be done, but it's getting done, and we're selling this product. We're selling these almonds to people directly, and it's really exciting, and it really gives the farmer an advantage, and it's so much appreciated. And this is the way people should buy their almonds. This is the way people should buy their fruit. Is through this because there's a story here, and it's important. So that's what I think. That's why I'm excited about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. And the thing is, like, again, nothing to knock a place like Azure Standard, because I mean, we work with them, and I've met them there. They're super nice people. But if you can get almonds directly from the farmer, why wouldn't you?
It's much better.
Yeah,
it's a much better thing, and I'm excited to do this, and we've worked it out at FedEx. We got a good box. We've got in other words, things have worked out over here. I am prepared to do more. I know how to do it now, and so as many orders that come, we can certainly fill them and get them out quickly. And we're happy to do it, Michael. It's been a blessing. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, glad to be involved. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for sharing your story, and thanks for coming on, and can't wait to get this out to our listeners.
Okay. I'm happy to do it again anytime. Okay.
Okay. Talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
So there you have it. Another episode in the books. So I'd love if you would hop on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. Those mean everything to us. We love to hear what you're thinking. If you have a podcast guest that you can recommend, please pop on over to the Thriving Farmer Podcast website and leave us a review. That's thrivingfarmerpodcast.com.